Obtainable only from Baro, the Prisma Lenz may cost a lot of ducats and 200,000. This is subject to change because these weapons, it literally depends on how greedy he wants to be when he turns up with them. Sometimes they're cheaper, sometimes they're more expensive. This, yeah, that seems to be the more expensive on the ducats, but that's a lot more expensive on the credits. The price may differ, but he will bring it back if you did miss it the first time he brought it. He will bring it again. Not even taking a chance on swapping frames back over here. We're just going to go back in here and type Lenz in here. Oh, I forgot how to type. Because we can instantly see the difference on this. It charges, well, faster. Has more ammo. Crit multiplier has been increased. Status has been increased. The impact has been increased. This thing will, of course, be coming with polarities, I hope. 3 of them. 2 dashes and a V. I have made a horrific mistake. Well, wasn't I wrong? I did have to obviously swap out Infested Clip for Malignant Force, because I did get rid of that dash polarity. I knew there was a reason there was dashes on this, and I did utilise them last time, but yeah, I transferred one to a D and kind of regretting it. Have had to, obviously, it's unranked, form her in a V to fit heavy caliber in there, because that increases damage by a lot. If it does mess up accuracy, that is kind of countered by the fact this has a huge radial attack to it, so would rather go for that than Primed Firestorm, which will of course increase the blast radius even more. And this, that's why it's got 25.6% status instead of, well, its basic 16. So did sacrifice a little bit of damage, but I'm sorry, it went from 15,326.9 damage to 16,280.6. So it has actually gone up in damage, even though it's actually got about 30% less toxin than it had before. Which is why I have to now go and do this. Bad example with the shields, but hey, whatever. We're seeing 15,000s from this, actually, as it detonates. 13,000s, 11,000s, and that's just, yeah, okay. If this was magnetic, it would be doing more damage. 35,000, what? 38,000. So in theory, this should be doing a lot more. Of course, it's probably going to one-shot you. 29,000. Really? 3,000. 56,000. Oh yes. 56,000. 55,000. That is definitely higher than it was before. Out of nothing more than curiosity, let's actually go over to the other simulacrum room and see if it's still doing the same thing. It's only displaying the cold damage. It's still only displaying the cold damage, even though there is no way you just took half the health off a heavy gunner with cold damage. And it's gone. But no matter how you want to put it, it basically did half health. So this should straight up clear them out completely. Oh look, that one's still got full health. Yeah. More than enough to completely take these out. Even though it's not displaying all of the damage numbers, we can still see that it is... Did half health last time. That's nearly full health. That's 3/4 health. So it is definitely doing a lot more damage, even if it only displays cold damage numbers. And sometimes some other numbers, it actually seems to be working better here than it is everywhere else. Oh, yeah. There's that ammo issue coming into play again. So it definitely does a heck of a lot more damage than the normal lens. First solution is of course going to be to run carrier while you're using this, because ammo case increases the ammo capacity by 25%, and even better, converts ammo pickups into the ammo for the equipped weapon after 2 seconds. So the ammo count on this has already gone all the way back up to 10, which is great. And it will convert all ammo into ammo for it. So once it's out of ammo, we should be able to go and... Yep, that has been converted, but it's only doing it for, well, 1 ammo. There's one bow ammo, because, yeah, that's the problem this thing faces. It uses bow ammo. And no matter how nice you want to be about it, bow ammo doesn't drop that regularly. So Carrier and his ability to kind of convert every other ammo into it can be very, very useful. If you're only running this weapon, it's kind of a necessity. But so is running any secondary. It doesn't matter what it is, you kind of need to have a secondary because this thing will run out of ammo very, very quickly. At least it doesn't use special ammo. That stuff's even harder to find. Yes, okay, they took the Mastery Rank 8 lens, made it better, but did make it a Mastery Rank 12. That was kind of expected. It's about time we got a new Prisma weapon. It's long, long overdue. It feels like years since they actually added something new to Baro that was actually worth picking up. It's actually gotten to a point where Baro has lacked anything of importance for way too long because they just haven't added new weapons to him. This hopefully sees the return of them actually giving Baro some love, because if they don't, he's not going to be worth going to, because everything he has, everybody will have. Whether or not you want to say this is the best bow is just up to how you personally prefer your bow. The Kuva Brahma does exist, though it has, 15% less crit, 0.7% less crit multiplier, but is more status based than this thing is. This is definitely at 50% crit chance, a lot more crit based than a lot of the other ones, even down to something like the Cernos Prime that had a 35% crit chance with a 2x crit multiplier, is kind of dwarfed by the fact that this thing has 50%. It's just the fact that the Cernos Prime has every single one of their damage is per projectile, hence status can be a bit weird because it's 30% status for that per projectile, because it can shoot more than one. Obviously it's kind of the weird effect of that bow. The biggest problem I have kind of come across with this isn't how it works. Yes, the ammo thing can be annoying, you kind of need some kind of ammo mutation in there, otherwise you're basically going to be running pistol only for about 90% of most games, because, well, arrow ammo doesn't drop that often, bow ammo doesn't drop that often, and it can be annoying. Hence, Equip Carrier should at least help with that slight problem. It more comes down to the fact that for the past, nearly 2 years, like everybody else, I've been hoping just really badly that they're going to do one thing with the lens and turn it into the tenant lens. We didn't get that. But instead of the tenant lens that is obviously behind the sisters, which means you have to take on a sister to get it, we got the Prisma Lenz. Doesn't mean that we won't get a tenant lens sometime in the future if they decide to actually pay attention to what people are kind of asking for in the game, because this has been the most suggested tenant weapon for them to add to the game. Instead we got a gun in the melee side of things because they didn't want to add another sister because they were busy doing other things. That's what they said. Let's just quote them. It was easier to put it in there than it was to give it to a sister because they've got to model the sister to actually use it, so they just threw it into in where the melee is, so you've got to buy it instead. Still add the tenant lens. It may still come. If it does, it now has to be better than the Prisma Lenz, which could be a problem all its own, because that would quite possibly make the tenant lens insanely powerful. This is what we all kind of wanted from the tenant lens. Them adding it to Baro has meant that it is easier to get a hold of than taking on a sister. The sisters can be time consuming and annoying. This, when Baro brings it back, you will just instantly have access to, which means that it's a good weapon that is easy to get a hold of. They may still add a tenant one in the future, but at least we've got this in the meantime. But the better things about this outweigh the fact that the tenant weapon, it may come one day, we can all but hope. and maybe some more Kuva weapons, because it's basically reskinning and making better weapons than we previously had, but never mind. It's more the fact that at least Baro got some new weaponry in. He has not had a new weapon in way too long, and it has been way too long, and they did it with a hell of a weapon. The Lens is a great weapon. It's always been a great bow. If you have to do bow-only missions, it was always basically the Lens or the Kuva Brahma. It depends what you are going up against as to which one you use. The fact they've added more status to this means, well, when bow-only missions appear, it's probably going to be more Prisma Lenses you see than anything else, because it has a lot of crit, it has nice status now, it was the status that let it down to begin with, and it's just so much better than, well, the normal lenses. Simply down to the fact that it is exactly that. It is the Lens made so much better. And it gives us high hopes that if they do decide to tenant this thing, it's going to be even better again. But only time will tell as to what they do with this. And with that, we'll leave this off here. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.